Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing amazing. Today, in this video, we're diving into the latest updates about Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos. You don't want to miss this, so make sure to stay tuned till the end, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The studio lights had never felt so heavy. For decades, Kelly Ripa had walked on the television sets with an effortless smile, her laughter spilling into living rooms across the world like morning sunlight. She had been the familiar face people woke up with, the comforting voice that softened hard days and celebrated joyful ones. But on this particular morning, something was different. The applause sounded longer, louder, almost like it knew something the audience didn't yet fully understand. Kelly stood still for a moment, her hands clasped together, eyes glistening as she took in the room she had called home for most of her adult life. This wasn't just another episode. This was goodbye, not just to a show, not just to a career, but to a chapter of her life that had defined her, and to step fully into another that meant everything to her heart. Mark, a love that grew in the spotlight. Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos were never just another Hollywood couple. From the moment they met, there was something undeniable between them, an electricity that didn't fade with time, fame, or pressure. Their love story wasn't perfect, but it was real, and in an industry where relationships often flicker and fade, theirs burned steadily, stronger with every passing year. They built a life together while cameras rolled and headlines followed. They raised children, navigated careers, faced criticism, and still chose each other every single day. Kelly often joked on air about their arguments, their differences, their loud debates, but behind the humor was a deep respect and devotion that never wavered. And now, as Mark reached a turning point of his own, Kelly faced a choice she never thought she'd have to make: career or presence, legacy or partnership, television or love. The moment everything changed. It didn't happen all at once. There was no dramatic announcement, no urgent phone call, just quiet realizations that crept in during late-night conversations and early morning silences. Mark was evolving, artistically, emotionally, spiritually. After years of pouring himself into acting and storytelling, he felt pulled towards something different, a slower pace, a deeper purpose, a life not constantly dictated by schedules, sets, and scripts. Kelly saw it before he ever said it out loud. She noticed the way he lingered in conversations, the way he stared out windows as if listening to a voice only he could hear. She recognized that look because she'd worn one herself. And when Mark finally spoke the words he'd been holding back, Kelly didn't interrupt. "I think I need you," he said quietly, not in desperation, in honesty, a decision only the heart could make. For Kelly Ripa, television wasn't just a job, it was a part of her identity. It had given her independence, confidence, purpose. It had allowed her to grow from a young actress into one of the most recognizable and respected voices in daytime television. Walking away felt unthinkable, and yet staying suddenly felt impossible. Kelly spent nights lying awake, replaying every version of the future. One where she stayed on TV, thriving professionally, but missing moments she could never get back. Another where she stepped away, trading applause for presence, fame for fulfillment. She thought about the years ahead, not the next season, but the next decade. Who would she be sitting beside? What memories would she treasure? What would matter when the cameras stopped rolling for good? The answer came softly but clearly: Mark. The farewell no one expected. When Kelly finally addressed the audience, her voice trembled, not from fear, but from love. "I've spent so much of my life here," she said, her eyes scanning the room. "You've welcomed me into your homes, your routines, your mornings, and I will never, ever take that for granted." The studio was silent. "But there are moments in life," she continued, pausing to steady herself, "when you realize that success isn't about doing more, it's about being present for what matters most." She smiled through tears. "And for me, that's my family, that's my husband, that's Mark." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Kelly Ripa stepping away from television, for love. A standing ovation from the world. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Fans flooded social media with messages of support, gratitude, and heartbreak. Some couldn't imagine mornings without Kelly's voice. Others praised her courage, calling her decision inspiring, rare, and deeply human. Colleagues shared memories, laughter, and tributes. Producers, crew members, and co-hosts embraced her, knowing they weren't just losing a star, they were saying goodbye to a friend. Kelly accepted it all with grace. But the moment that mattered most came later, away from the cameras. Mark was waiting for her, choosing love over applause. When Kelly walked through the door that evening, there were no lights, no microphones, no audience, just Mark. You didn't speak at first. You simply held her, the way you hold someone when words aren't enough. You didn't have to, he whispered. I wanted to, she replied. That was the truth. Kelly didn't leave television because she was tired. She left because she was fulfilled enough to know when it was time to choose differently. For the first time in years, there were no early call times, no wardrobe fittings, no scripts waiting to be reviewed, just mornings with coffee, evenings with conversation. Time, real, uninterrupted time. A new chapter, not an ending. Kelly Ripa's farewell wasn't an ending, it was a transformation. She didn't disappear, she didn't fade away, she simply stepped into her own life, where her presence mattered more than her performance. And Mark, he flourished, not because Kelly sacrificed, but because they chose each other as equals, partners, companions in a journey still unfolding. They traveled, they laughed, they argued, they dreamed. And sometimes Kelly would smile and say, "Remember when my life was live television?" Mark would laugh, and she would never regret the choice she made, the legacy she leaves behind. Kelly Ripa didn't just leave a show, she left a lesson. That success doesn't have to mean exhaustion, that love doesn't have to come second, that sometimes the bravest thing a woman can do is walk away from what the world applauds and toward what her heart needs. Her farewell reminded millions that life is not measured by ratings, contracts, or headlines, but by moments, connection, and courage. And in choosing Mark, Kelly chose herself too, because the greatest role she ever played was being present for the love that stood beside her all along. But the world didn't stop watching. Even after Kelly Ripa stepped away from the glow of studio lights, people still searched for her in quiet moments, in memories, in the echo of laughter that once filled their mornings. Her absence felt strange at first, like a familiar song that suddenly wasn't playing anymore. Yet slowly, something remarkable happened. People understood. They saw her choice not as a retreat, but as a triumph. Kelly began to live at a pace she had forgotten existed. Days were no longer divided by segments or commercial breaks. Time stretched out gently, allowing moments to breathe. She discovered joy in the ordinary, cooking dinner without rushing, walking hand in hand with Mark without glancing at the clock, sitting in silence that felt full rather than empty. Mark noticed the change immediately. "You laughed differently now," he told her one evening. She paused, surprised. "How so?" "It's lighter," he said, "like you're not carrying the world on your shoulders anymore." And maybe she wasn't. For years, Kelly had carried expectations. Hers, the audience's, the industry's. She had been strong, resilient, endlessly professional. But now she allowed herself to simply be human, vulnerable, present. They talked more than ever before about dreams they had postponed, about fears they never had time to acknowledge, about what life could look like when it wasn't constantly moving forward, but finally settling in. Kelly didn't miss television the way she thought she would. She missed certain people, certain moments, but not the pressure, not the relentless demand to always be on. What she gained was far greater than what she left behind. Sometimes, late at night, she would reflect on the younger version of herself, the ambitious girl who chased opportunity with determination and grit. She felt proud of her, but she also felt relief knowing she didn't have to keep proving anything anymore. Mark, too, found clarity with Kelly beside him, not divided by schedules or obligations. He leaned into his passions with renewed confidence. They became each other's grounding force, reminding one another that success is sweetest when shared quietly. Their love, no longer framed by cameras, felt deeper, steadier, and more intentional. And somewhere out there, a viewer turned off the television one morning and smiled, thinking of Kelly not as a host, not as a celebrity, but as a woman who chose love when it mattered most. Kelly Ripa didn't just leave a show, she stepped into her own life, and in doing so, she showed the world that sometimes the bravest farewell is the one that leads you home.